Good evening, y'all. It's time for more of the greatest Attorney Chronicles adventures. I botched it again. Oh my god, let's get in there. Oh, hi. This is where we left off. We had just finished episode 4. 4 of 5. We're about to start 5, sorry. We're about to start 5. And, that's the last episode of the game, or of this installment, which is one half of the Chronicles package. A lot of game in this $40 purchase of mine, or was it $29.99? I forget. But anyway, that's a very good value for Ace Attorney action. So, if you're a fan, I recommend. Alright, let's get in there. I think that we're going to be meeting up with a certain green-clad blonde again. And I don't remember how exactly I voiced her before. I'm pretty sure it was pretty inconsistent anyway. Ooh. Okay, episode 5. Adventure the Unspeakable Story. The Hound of the Baskervilles, which is an actual Sherlock Holmes story. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed like a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. I'm assuming that's an excerpt from the actual text. I wonder if it is. Oh, because if it was an actual excerpt, could they be sued? Is that story under copyright? Whatever. Let's get in there. I like these title cards, actually.
Coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness.
Ooh.
The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared.
What's it? The
In
hound!
the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us.
Oh?
A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames.
Ooh.
Its rumbling
That's
pant
on
and
the
hideous
title card.
howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. Look well, Wilson, Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. For this is the diabolical hound of the Baskervilles.
I'm assuming this is Ryunosuke now. Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. That disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country, and in Soseki-san's terrible ordeal that had followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court. Which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. Uh-oh. And, for anyone watching, if anyone notices, like, a bit of strain to my performance, or in my voices today, I'm still, like, working on digesting a very large meal. So I feel a little bit pressurized in the whole torso area. Oh, that's a good sound effect. That morning, I was woken by the unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Sato in the environment. Sato-san's behavior became very obviously strange. So Sato-san? Yes! Is it time to leave for court already? Court? Let me see. What case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? Why is she acting all crazy about appearing in court when we were just saying that we had no opportunities to be in court? That's odd. Also, if anyone remembers my comment about, or the mention of Dadamas from a previous stream, there it is in the shelf back there. It's that red thing with one eye filled in. Oh, no, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said she would make us breakfast this morning. So shall we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite? Yes. Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today? Is she developing dementia? Here we go again. Why is she acting like delusional? It's kind of weird. Nothing of note in the foreground. Ooh, a shovel. Oh, a spade. So, I've asked this to Marvin in other videos we have, but how is a spade different from a shovel? Are they different at all in practice? I wonder. That spade's been in here since we started renting the place. Oh, that's not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It's a shovel. Oh my god, it's a stepladder argument for this game. Is that something that already came up before? Oh god. I feel like I'm reliving something here, but maybe in pieces. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. Oh. Is that the distinction? I would love to know. No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel. Oh god, okay, never mind. Oh, she's getting angry. I don't want to dig a hole for myself, so let's leave it. That's a really funny pose that they gave her, just getting angrier looking at you. So this is a tea set that Sasato-san brought with her from Japan. Let's hope she hasn't she hasn't noticed me slipping sugar and milk into my cup when she makes it. It's just so bitter. Tea is a drink to be enjoyed, Naruhodo-san. You really don't have to force yourself to drink it, you know. I don't like to see you screw up your face, though. Okay. Got ourselves a working stove. It's spring at last, and the weather is warmer now. But I love the smell of the fire and the steam rising from the kettle. Oh, would you like some tea, Naruhodo-san? Thank you, Sasato-san, but I'm alright for now. With the green tea Sasato-san makes for me from time to time and Arch's unique herbal infusions. This place is paradise for a true tea lover. Oh, I thought he was gonna, like, poo-poo the tea. Because he was just talking about how bitter it was. Green tea is such a wonderful accompaniment to British tea cakes, don't you think? This is all very innocuous stuff. But it ought to be, because it's the beginning of the episode. I've only been here in London for 2 months, but my desk is starting to look a little messy already. You could tidy up once in a while. Sasato-san, I always say, making a mess is a small sacrifice to pay for being able to further your studies. And time spent tidying up is time you can't devote to the same cause. And time spent on ridiculous arguments is time that could be better spent on some simple housework. She wins. But I'm supposed to be a lawyer here. Ooh, I get to actually talk about the Dodoma in particular. Ah, the Dodoma doll I brought with me from home, still with only one eye colored in. I said I'd color the other eye once I won my first court case here in Britain, but... But you have one, haven't you? Twice, in fact. Because I feel as though I'm still lacking as a lawyer. Tell you what, why don't you color the other eye in once you think I'm a proper, fully fledged lawyer? If you insist. Okay, I thought that maybe we were gonna have a gag where she colored it in immediately as a vote of confidence. But no, she still believes I'm lacking, which is fair. Alright, let's look at this desk, or this table. Oh, there's a telegram on the table? I didn't really see that, but okay. Ah, this must be the telegram. Let's see. Ah! No, you mustn't look at that. Not under any circumstances. Alright, I won't. I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san, but you can be very mischievous at times. Then put the telegram away if you don't want people looking at it. That's odd. Well, there is the whole telegram. Is that a persimmon or an orange? Ooh, an aquarium. You're rather lucky to find that old aquarium left behind here. The prawns you put in there are doing rather well, and the anemones too. It's a wonderful invention, isn't it? The sea, behind glass, inside your room. Another example of Great Britain's greatness. Having to clean it out and change the water isn't so great though, is it? Looks like there's nothing left except the door. Cool. You know, I've never seen inside your room there, Sato-san. I've never even peeped inside. I should think so, too. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know. Whatever you say, young maiden. Alright. Let us converse. So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean. Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but you're not gonna get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. It was just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now that she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. Okay. This is gonna be a secret. I suppose Soseki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or be just a few days away. A fortnight ago, we had that very long telegram from him, do you remember? Complaining of seasickness. But by and large, it seems the voyage has been going well. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? I was just wondering. What might have become of Soseki-san had he stayed in London, that's all. You mean, as regards Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper? Yes. Can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled into insignificance in that case. Good thing he left so he didn't get murdered. What is it they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the very day we arrived in London. Where a guy got freaking burned to death in the courtroom, while everyone watched. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. Yes, but at least Soseki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means that the Curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the city of London, perhaps. Even if that is the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields a sword of justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely not wielding that sword against more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently, Lord Van Zeeks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. Oh? Yes, since Soseki-san's trial. He's withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. It's just stopped slurring my words. So it's just been me who's had to face him in his recent spate of trials then. Lucky me. Just my luck. Yeah, there you go. I wonder if luck doesn't come into it. Sorry? What was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. Okay. Let us show you my armband. It means a great deal to me, you know. That you cherish his armband so, and wear it each time you appear in court. Well, it's very important to me. It's what shows that I'm a lawyer. And whenever I wear it, I feel as though it gives me strength. Through Kazuma. I absolutely can't be without it. Especially when I'm at a critical point in a trial. But just the other day, I noticed you wearing it when we went to visit that park. Sometimes I forget to take it off. Well, that was an interesting fade back to that menu. Alright, into the suite. Wait, my lodging and office located in the attic above the suite rooms rented by Sholmes. I call it a consultancy, but clients aren't exactly beating down the door. Alright, let's see if I can remember what Iris sounds like.
Morning, Runo. Morning, Susie.
I hear fiddling.
Good morning, Iris.
Iris.
What is it, Runo?
What's that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled.
Ah, yes. You noticed that, did you? Hurley isn't in the best form this morning, it seems.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes.
Good morning. Good morning to Dai, perhaps. Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before. My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Damn this blanched existence. That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dried toast and insipid coffee for me. It's not too much trouble. Meow. Is that Soseki-san's cat? Oh look, it's Wagahai.
Good morning, boy.
Ow. Must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. Why, it sounds like it might be crucial to a trial in the second Ace Attorney game that's set in the far future. How'd it get there?
Well then, everyone, time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris.
Ugh. Would indeed be a fine day to die. Ah, I knew something looked different. Something's missing from Mr. Sholmes' desk. Oh, we can talk to Iris in the environment as well. Look at Mr. Sholmes' desk. It's completely clear. Isn't that enormous machine usually on it?
You can never hope to understand what goes on in the great detective's mind, Mr. Naruhodo.
That was a weak little fist pump. Or bump.
Why, next time we're invited, we may find he's vacated the entire suite.
That's scarily plausible, actually. Alright, that's not an actual searchable bit. Yes, I like when these are big, chunky hitboxes. There's all sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, a lot of things I've never seen before. This sounds familiar. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's such a charmingly untidy collection of paraphernalia, isn't it?
Just looks messy to me, like my desk.
But you, Mr. Naruhodo, must learn to tidy up after yourself.
No favoritism there, then. Go have to check out the mantle again. Fire's burning comfortingly in the grate again today. It's a very different feeling to a Japanese hibachi somehow.
Oh, look at that photographic print of a lady displayed on the mantelpiece. Could it be? Yes, it must be. It's the woman. Oh, how exciting.
That's supposed to mean something to me? Is that a reference to Sherlock Holmes that that I don't know about? I'm just gonna assume that. Ooh, tea. Looks like that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. Looks very sturdy with an equally sturdy lock.
Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous.
How'd you come to that conclusion? I wasn't even doing anything, lady. Iris, talk to me. Wagahai, the cat.
Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home then. Oh yes, and I've become very attached to the Waggy.
It would appear his previous owner has completely forgot to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. The muse as empty as the hearts of the muses. Its eyes are so blank.
If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Wagi back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place.
I expect he would have taken him if he could, but pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience.
And for good reason. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable.
It's a calico, it sure is.
Yes, he really is.
Oh yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where'd that come from?
Oh, you noticed? You are observant, Runo. Look, I use this. It's my latest invention.
What's that? His name is Wagahai. I don't know what that refers to exactly, but that's definitely a Japanese name.
I call it the Cat Flapper Mat. Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats? That's right. It can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. It can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see. Wouldn't it have been quicker just to make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap? Well, yes, maybe. But now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris.
She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl.
Hehehe.
Alright, cool. We've done what we need to do. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. We can't checkmark a person. We can only checkmark the topics of conversation with the person. Memento? These are all mementos of Mr. Sholmes' past cases, I think. If he'd been involved in my case, I wonder if the beefsteak from Le Carnival would be on display here.
A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection.
Looks like an untidy assortment of junk to me, but rather look. Bleh. Oh my god, I can't read. Oh, excuse me.
It looks like an untidy assortment of junk to me.
Wait, that's not Sasato's voice. This is Runosuke talking. What's wrong with me? It looks like an untidy assortment of junk to me. Rather like what's on my own shelves. Ugh.
Well, you really ought to learn to keep your things in order, Mr. Naruhodo.
No favoritism there at all. Okay, so that's the running gag. He's gonna rag on me for my mess while praising this mess. Fantastic.
Iris's beautiful tea set is there on the table as usual.
A cup of one of her special herbal blends always helps me to relax when I'm feeling the strain.
The English pastime of tea has many similarities with our own tea ceremony customs, don't you think? It's the idea of hospitality behind it. That's the essence of tea.
If you say so. Oh, you know what? We investigated this a long time ago. This is where Iris notes down ideas, isn't it? Let's see, what does it say today? Ah, the Buscombe Valley Mystery.
Ooh, how intriguing. It must be the title of Iris's latest work. Oh my, I wonder what fantastic tale awaits us.
Sato-san looks like an angel, but I bet she's dreaming of the most unsavory crime you could imagine. You know, I've noticed that that's kind of a thing. Like, it seems statistically significant that a lot of, like true crime documentaries and, like, cold case and all these other, like, crime things, like, have a disproportionately large amount of female viewership. Is that right? I've just been getting that vibe from conversations and the internet in general. I don't know if that's true. Anyway. Spice rack. It's a charming little white shelf, full of charming little bottles too. The contents of them aren't quite so charming, it seems.
Science is a future, Mr. Naruhodo. You can't deny it. I'm saving my money so that I can buy some chemistry apparatus as well.
Law, chemistry, takedown throws. What diverse skills you boost, Mrs. Sato.
As useful as they are, I'm not sure that my throwing skills are worthy of inclusion in that list.
Oh, she considers herself an amateur thrower at best. She's so self-conscious about her throwing. Okay, the only thing left is a typewriter. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Iris doing much writing recently. But there's paper already set up in the typewriter. Look, as if she's about to start. Is someone else talking? No.
That reminds me, when I mentioned that Iris was in the process of writing a full-fledged novel, Mr. Natsume was most impressed.
Ah yes, Mr. Natsume.
That's what I'll be doing too once I'm back in Japan, he said through tightly clenched fists and teeth.
Yep, that's what he'd do. That's how he works. Alright, let's get back to depressed Herlock. I'm gonna show you my... Wait. Just in case that's what I absolutely need to do. Wanting to die. Okay, you know what? Let's present you my armband. Look! Mr. Sholmes, could I ask for your opinion about this? I want your opinion on my armband. You lure me to raise my languid head with the promise of some mental exaltation. Yet in my morbid depression, I am confronted with the most mundane of problems. Oh. My mind finds greater stimulation in the unforgiving monotony of the floor than in your miserable offering. Always glad to help. Oh, my head weighs heavy on my shoulders. Alright, let's go, depressed man. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Sholmes. What's happened? It used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its mellifluent tones would make flowers bloom. It would. But now, the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
For hours I've bowed, for days even. Through the night I've endeavored to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone. Gone forever. No more recitals of unbridled emotion.
Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley?
Don't worry, I'm sure it will come back. Wait, nope, that's Ryunosuke. Don't worry, I'm sure it will come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man, the next they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh, dear. Why is this happening to me? They take the turn I have for the violin from me. What is left, for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? What's with their missing machine, dude?
Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but your desk looks rather empty today.
Well done, Mrs. Sato. Your observational skills do you credit.
Oh, no, Mr. Sholmes, they pale into... The way they use this phrasing, I guess it's a British way to say it, but I'm not used to it at all. They pale into insignificance when compared to yours.
You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you?
You mean Hurley's great analytoscope? That's at Windy Banks now.
Sorry? Is that a Windy Bank?
No, Windy Banks, the pawnbrokery.
Pawn?
What?
You mean you've pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly.
But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed what little income I have to you.
Dear madam, things are far from desperate.
But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How can it be anything but desperate?
Making use of a pawnbroker is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you.
It is? It doesn't sound ordinary at all.
It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh, what's to understand exactly? What did you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokers are akin to banks.
Banks?
On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to the pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week.
And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they've earned.
I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us.
Everyone does it, you see. Especially people in London.
And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn should the need arise.
Oh, how ingenious. So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at the Windy Banks, you see. Or at Windy Banks, you see.
A pawnbroker can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers are even different here in Great Britain? Or that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain?
Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley?
What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. Honestly, I can't really tell which one I'm saying at any given moment. I have to stop and think, which one did I just say or read? I can't... neither sound right to me.
Oh, what was that?
Wagahai? Oh no! There's a ruckus. Sorry. Excuse me. What was that?
Oh no! Wakahai's tangled up in your violin.
I think he thinks it's a toy. No, no! What's he doing to it?
Oh dear, Mr. Sholmes' precious violin.
Why should I care?
What?
I shouldn't be surprised. The cat is a more accomplished musician than I. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now.
Mr. Sholmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Hurley?
Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. It's not in my court record. Where's the violin now? Oh, there it is. Was I able to inspect that earlier? Okay, no new topics of conversation. Let's inspect the violin then. So this is the violin, is it? Keep on taking a moment to try and see if I can get, like, a pocket of, like, just so I don't burp loudly into the mic. I'm sorry. It's a Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier, Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. Doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honorable of you. And until today, it has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I've made. I ask you, is there reason to live in a world devoid of music? To tolerate this blanched existence? No. There is none.
Mr. Sholmes.
What, dear madam, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine. That's kind of dark if you interpret it to its logical conclusion.
Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think?
Hmm?
What do you mean, Mr. Sato? Oh, Susie's right. Yes. The tone of the wood is completely different. And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it?
What's this? So far, they've yet to reference his drug habits. Probably judiciously.
I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all.
Then, what?
I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola.
What? What?
Mr. Sholmes, are you alright?
You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is this piece of stringed flotsam? Not your faithful performing partner, then.
Ah, I see what must have happened.
You do, Iris?
This is just a simple mix-up.
Sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we ask her. This is so weird to be able to converse with multiple people in a single scene, but you have to, like, examine them to get to their conversation topic tree. It's weird. What do you mean by mix-up, Iris?
Well, you see, this violin, sorry, this viola, I mean, was at Windybanks until last week. At the pawnbroker's.
Not Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. There's a proverb from the East with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel.
Yes, indeed.
So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it would experience personal growth?
Oh, what a wonderful idea.
Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Windybank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber.
No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings.
Pshaw, a fine state of affairs this is, and why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time.
But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbroker as an extremely secure vault.
Come, Mr. Naruhodo, dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toes with that vacant aspect. Pressing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which we are faced?
We must visit Mr. Windybank's broker at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes?
Precisely, Mr. Sato. Without a moment's delay.
But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs.
My dear fellow, Surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to fresh your egg ever more obtusely. Alright, say no more. Let's go then. I'm gonna put the corner of the toast in my mouth like an anime girl.
Don't worry, Bruno. I'll be happy to heat it up for you again later.
Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker's looks like. Okay. Now look at my armband. I'm gonna stop you there, Mr. Naruto. An official I may be, but I'm nevertheless a professional. I couldn't examine such a humdrum item for anything less than £5. Oh, no, I didn't really want you to examine it. I just wanted to ask if... My dear fellow, as a professional consulting detective, I couldn't possibly venture an opinion for anything less than £5.
Are you perhaps hoping to purchase a new telescope in the near future, Mr. Sholmes?
Indeed I am. As you know, it has long been an ambition of mine to discover a new star and name it for myself. Because your earthly stardom isn't enough. Okay. Oh, now Iris is completely done. So, that's like based on the whole scene. Alright, new location. To the Baker Street. But then we can go straight to the pawnbrokery? Let's take a stop at the Baker Street. Oh, interesting. Oh wow, there's so little here. Wait, it's literally next door? Or 2 doors down? Well, let's examine our own place first. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. Still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this.
Oh, I know. To actually be sharing a... Oh, wait, no. Oh, I know. To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective. If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I'll have not one regret.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Alright, that's the entire right side. Let's just get this here. Look at all the different things in the window of this shop.
Ah, that's Windybank's, the pawnbrokery.
Looks much smarter than a pawnbroker's in Japan, doesn't it?
Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable, personally.
Reminds me of tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable.
What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yeah. I guess that's all we need. Inside. Windybanks. So this is a British pawnbrokery.
Oh my, there are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes on before.
Ah, Sasato-san, and that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this.
Oh yes, I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a real thrill for me.
My dear fellows, let us not forget why we're here.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes.
We're calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes. Actually, no, Sato has a different room. There's a door in the lodgings that you can see, and he identified it as the door to her room. So, they sleep separately. No issues there. Oh, how does Mr. Windybank sound? Ah, Mr. Soames, sir. Welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yes, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo, and it's time to inform Mr. Windybank of our ire. Come, the fight is afoot. I want to look around first. What are you doing, my dear fellows? We're not here to browse for interesting curios. We've come to teach this broker a lesson.
Oh, but there are just so many fascinating items.
Looks as though we'll have to talk to Mr. Windybank first before we can explore in here, Mrs. Sato. That takes care of everything explorable for the time being. Perfect. The violin. Naturally, you will recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes. This second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Windybank. The color of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size.
A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. An inexcusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There's only one way to make amends.
Holy shit.
I shall have to take my own life.
I don't think that will be necessary, do you?
If I may just say one thing before I pop off.
Yes.
It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe.
Sorry.
As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch your violin when I heard, "Ah, here it is."
You did?
And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave. So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me.
No, stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine.
You.
It would appear that the fight is over.
I do humbly apologize, Mr. Windybank. Evidently, my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy.
Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Hollock Sholmes without that questionable disposition now, would you?
I do believe you may be right, sir. Either laugh or cry, I suppose.
You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I needn't remind you of the peculiar collection of items you've brought through my door in the past.
Oh, peculiar items.
In the extreme, ma'am. For example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Herlock Sholmes or some such.
Oh my. A new full-fledged novel? And unpublished? A story I've yet to read, you mean?
Ah! Forgive me.
Wait, before you die, you must tell me more. Before you die.
This guy's silly.
I must know more. Tell me everything.
Wow, Sato sounds really fired up now, and she doesn't care if he shoots himself as long as he tells him what he knows first.
Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof?
Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see.
I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Windybank.
For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir. Not a farthing more.
It houses something of a very great value indeed. The latest manuscript, recounting the adventures of one Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
I beg your pardon, a manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript?
Indeed I do, but I am confident it will be quite safe here.
That was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom.
Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this? I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings, securely.
Of course, sir, of course. They're safe and sound with me, I assure you. All my life.
This is all very strange. I wonder, can I ask you something?
Ah, gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, that sable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6 pence for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull.
Sorry?
Aha! But for your splendid attire, ma'am, 5 guineas, no less. The colours are exquisite, the design exotic. Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say.
Oh my, 5 guineas you say? How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokers are used rather like banks here in London.
Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you describe. I praise their items and offer them a proportionate loan in 2 months of secure stowage.
Stowage, not storage.
If in that time they repay the original sum to me plus the agreed interest, the items are happily returned.
But what happens if they don't pay you the money?
Then the items are more offered for sale in my shop, as you can see on the shelves behind me.
So you never sell items before the 2 months has passed then?
That's right, ma'am, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all.
I don't think that's true. The very idea, Mr. Windybank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually. Says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning. Fair point. And let us not forget that I've already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs. Oh, what sort of measures? I engineered a simple device which Mr. Windybank has installed here in his shop. I call it the red-handed recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Windybank? What was that deep sigh about? What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Very astute. It is indeed a camera, furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop.
Hey, I have an example I can show you.
Ooh. Ah yes, a print from the camera set to record the activity at the shop counter. I developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in darkness. That's ridiculous. There's a golden retriever in the picture. Aww. Dog.jpg is in this game. Really? That's extraordinary.
Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it, Look. Yeah, this is a little absurd. Being able to get a picture like that in darkness is that's absurd. So, you see, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals?
Indeed, as you say, my dear madam.
Then what if the incident were to occur in between times?
One could only say that would be a cruel twist of fate. Must confess your devices have been giving me some cause for distress of late.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Windybank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word.
It's the cost of the film, sir. You most graciously placed not one but 2 cameras in my shop after all, which means I must pay for nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older.
Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbroker, you know?
My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price.
That's salient.
Oh, heaven help us. Now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin.
Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Windybank.
Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items you tried to pop, Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer.
I really think I ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt.
Fear not.
Sorry?
I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be armed.
That's not really what I meant.
Good day to you then, Mr. Windybank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes.
This guy's crazy. So, Mr. Naruhodo. I wish I could say Naruhodo better. All too often, the R sounds too much like another D. But I also want to say it quickly. Quicklier. But it ain't working. Now we can explore at last. Indeed we can. Check out this big old clock. Look at this. What could this lovely big shiny box be?
That, my dear madam, is a music box. Surely you have such things in your own country.
Oh my. Yes, but I've certainly never seen one so large before.
Shall we listen a while?
Oh, that's really elaborate sounding.
Oh boy.
And it's making me sleepy. Ah, what a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. I've never heard anything like it before in my life.
This particular specimen is of the larger variety, commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There's a metal disc inside on which the notes to be played are recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played.
My goodness, what a simply delightful machine.
Indeed, though their popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course.
Ah. Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace.
They sure do.
Seems to be a little door hidden behind that curtain there.
That leads to the storage room, where Mr. Windybank keeps articles that are currently in pawn.
Ah, I see.
There's nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any larcenous activity.
Recommend it or not, it's not something I tend to do.
There's but one key, and Mr. Windybank keeps it in his pocket at all times. Before he sleeps, he places it into a small pot, which he slides under his pillow.
How on earth do you know about that, Mr. Sholmes?
I am a detective, sir. It is my business to know what others do not. I'm frequently assailed by information that I neither care for nor wish to retain.
Mr. Sholmes, you are a wonder.
The prime suspect of this pawnbroker is ever burgled. Oh, here's some spades. A what?
Look at that enormous ledger open on the counter there.
Mr. Windybank is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts. Whoa. That yawn just crept up on me as I was talking. That's rare. Wait a minute, who said that? Oh, it was Sholmes who said that. Mr. Windybank is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts. He'd have to be, otherwise he'd get himself into all sorts of trouble. Which might explain the thing that catches my eye far more than the ledger. This revolver here. Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article herein, my dear fellow. I assure you, Mr. Windybank would not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed belying his portly size.
Oh, you don't mean he'd...
Blow his brains out? Indeed, in recompense for his blunder.
Oh my. But in any case, of course we would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest it?
Oh, no response. Okay, so that entire section was its own hitbox. Okay. This shelf back here.
What an assortment of things there are on these shelves here. Crockery, footwear, clocks and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine.
Those are forfeited items offered for sale by the pawnbroker. What does that really mean, though? When you pawn, or colloquially pop an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it in his shop for sale at a price of his choosing. Oh yes, now you've explained it. I'm noticing little price tags on everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest on the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform? Never. It embodies my student spirit. He's proud about the weirdest things. Nothing to say about that horsey. Okay, let's try this.
Now, what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does?
It seems to have two little windows for looking through. Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you are looking at is a stereoscope.
A stereoscope? Fascinating.
It is aptly named, I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself.
Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I just have a look.
Just before you do, there's something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically, as it were, you'll need to be cross-eyed. However, if that is beyond you, it is of little consequence today.
Alright then, I'm going to try it.
Man, that got me mid-yawn. Ah!
Mr. Naruhodo, you must see, at once.
Oh, alright then. So I need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose.
What the? I don't believe it. It's just a photographic print, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it. Oh, I didn't take the time to try doing the cross-eyed thing myself. I hope they show it again.
Yes, the sense of death is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many fads. They're often found in little stalls in the park. People queue for hours to see them.
Why? Why are people meddling with such black magic?
It is no magic, my dear madam. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. We shall save this lesson for another day.
Oh. Can I look at this again?
It's the exact same dialogue sequence. Alright, I just want to take a look at this again. Ooh. The cross-eyed trick does work. Pretty neat. Alright, that's all I want to do. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Let us investigate this bit.
Look at this. Whatever could it be used for?
I have no idea.
Ah. There's a small catch just here, look.
We're going to open it, aren't we?
Oh my, that's amazing. It has some sort of spring-loaded mechanism.
Which we'll never manage to put back to the way it was before. What are you two doing? What? Us? Nothing. No, nothing at all.
Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere. 15th. It's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th April, today's date.
Yes, it's not for sale, I must point out. It is an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight, I tear off the front page to reveal the following day's date. The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Whitneybank.
And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong violin before?
Well, when the agreed storage period has passed without repayment, articles are forfeited, you see. I have to keep a close eye on the date. Something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say.
Oh, yes. I can see you're very dedicated to your job. What? Only tuppence for it? That ain't fair, and you know it. The
article's barely worth a penny, miss. I cannot offer more. I wonder who's talking. Pretty sure one of them's Gina. Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter.
Come on, that can't be right. Have you even had a proper butcher's at it?
I've seen all I need to see, young girl.
Wait, don't we know? I'm sure I recognize her.
Oh, yes. It's the young lady from Mr. McGilded's trial 2 months ago.
Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer. Earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses.
It's commonly called a pickpocket.
Ah, she's got a sweet jacket on now.
Golden Bennett, you lot!
She has her gun still.
Hello, Miss Lestrade. I hope you've been well. What? You remember me then, do ya?
Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure.
So, what are you doing in here? Down and out like the rest of us. Nothing to eat. Come to pop that black weasel. Sorry, coat. Have you?
What is it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it? Ah, good day. Unless I'm much mistaken. You would be the young pickpocket who stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher.
Ah! Mr. Sholmes!
So, you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see that article, and I shall negotiate with Mr. Windybank on your behalf.
Pull the other one. I'll need no help from some stuck-up D. Get out of my business. Go on, I'll make trouble for you.
As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I'll happily remove myself from your presence. He's really done it. He's gone.
I'm sorry, but as I said, there really is no room for negotiation here.
What is that thing he has in his hand? Some kind of metal disc?
And you, go on, leave me alone.
Oh, Miss Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offended in the slightest. Desante-san can really stand her ground when she wants to.
Whatever.
Let's talk to her. Oh wait, first let's present my armband to her. Did you have a look at, that's strange. Where's my armband gone?
What's the problem? Something wrong? Don't suppose. You're looking for this?
Yes, but how? And when? And how again?
Got a talent for one, haven't I? Dive in.
That's bordering on black magic. And it makes what I was about to say about my armband seem a little dull.
So, what do you want to tell me about it then?
Nothing. Somehow, I didn't really think you were the sort of person who'd use a pawnbroker, Miss Lestrade.
Yeah, well, I am, alright? I'm a Londoner just like everyone else. That's the problem. That a problem, is it?
No, not at all. It's just that, well...
Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking. That thing probably don't even belong to her. Probably got on a dive, didn't she? Yeah, I can see written all over your Chevy Chase.
Oh, really? That seems too modern. Even if it is rhyming slang, you don't reference Chevy Chase now, do you? Unless Chevy Chase, the actor... Because that wasn't his original name. Did he utilize, like, some obscure English reference? Huh. I would like to know how that parses out. Well, I might have been thinking something along those lines. You're not going to deny it? You're not going to deny it, Mr. Naruhodo? Alright then, I'm just going to come out and ask you straight. Do you pawn things that you steal from other people?
Well, I don't know how best to answer that, really. Suppose. Sometimes.
And you're not going to deny it either, Miss Lestrade.
But not this time, alright? I swear. That thing belongs to me.
The disc that Mr. Windybank is holding. Perhaps we should see what he has to say about all this.
at Mr. Windybank watching diligently over his shop. There's still so many things I'm curious about. I don't believe this is the time for browsing, Mr. Naruto. Should probably see whether that argument's been resolved yet, I suppose. What? Oh, I wasn't on him. Alright, let's see what's up with this disc. Mr. Windybank, what exactly is this metal disc that Miss Lestrade has brought in? It seems to have hundreds of tiny little bumps on its surface.
It's a music disc, you see, for use inside a music box.
In a music box? What, you don't even know what a music box is? You Easton Law ain't too savvy, eh? I know what a music box is. I've just never seen one of these discs before.
The small protrusions on the metal disc encode the tune needed to be played by the music box. You simply insert the disc and set the machine going, and beautiful music plays.
It's so incredible. Tell us, what tune is on this disc?
Well, Fred, I couldn't tell you that. There's so many different types of music box, you see. British-made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing which particular machine this disc was made for.
Ah, I see.
And that's it in a nutshell. Wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if the young lady forfeited it. Really, I'm already offering more than I should at a penny. At a penny?
That's a pack of lies. He told me he did. He said it was, well... He? Who? Never you mind. It just ain't right, that's all. That disc worth good money, I know it is.
Well then, you'll have to try your luck at another pawnbroker's, won't you?
Nah.
She's been in before, of course, this little tatterdemalion.
Wow. How do you pronounce that? Tatterdemalion? I see.
I brought some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add.
Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest customer, me. So, is there something dubious about the disc she brought in today?
Well, if only it were that simple.
Sorry? What do you mean?
What she actually brought in was a storage ticket.
Ah, a storage ticket. So, Miss Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today, is that right? Wait a minute. Miss Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today, is that right? Yeah, that's right. A girl like me has a lot of stuff what needs stolen. Alright, yes, that's definitely dubious.
The article in question would have been forfeited at midnight tonight, where she gave me the ticket for it and repaid both the loan and the interest. I was obliged to return the article to her.
But what was the article? Do tell us, Mr. Windybank.
Little scamp is wearing it, ma'am. It's the overcoat that she redeemed.
Oh. What? What's wrong with that? It fits, doesn't it? I mean, it's mine, so of course it does. The way they spell out her Cockney accent is kind of inconsistent and it messes with me a little bit. Like, I'm already bad at it, but it's even worse because it's not consistently spelled. So what about the disc then? How does that come into all this?
The disc is something else. A new article to pawn if the girl and I can agree a price.
I'm confused. I thought you said that Miss Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today.
It's really quite simple. Yes, the child brought me a storage ticket and the money owed on it, as you say.
For this heavy black coat, which you returned to her care as I had understood it.
That's right, yes. And rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets.
Oh, you mean... What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady? Ah, I see. So it came from the pocket of the overcoat, did it?
If you mean this dish, then yes, exactly, ma'am.
And she immediately tried to pawn it. For quite a high price as well. This is all rather suspicious, I think. Give it up. I'm just trying to pawn something like anyone else would. Miss Lestrade, may I ask who deposited the overcoat here in the first place? Well, me. It doesn't really appear to be your size. Me old man. Me old man. It's me old man's, ain't it? Is it Miss Lestrade? Or is it Miss Lestrade? Yes, this is definitely all rather suspicious. Out of my way, please, says... Wow. It's just Speedwagon from JoJo. Oh god. What does he sound like? Picture postcard English gentleman. So he's got to sound posh, probably. Mm-hmm.
Good day to you, ladies, gentlemen.
What's your problem, huh?
There is no problem as long as you remove yourself. I've a matter to discuss with the proprietor. And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for the hiding you deserve.
Look, ain't it obvious? I ain't done talking with him yet. If you think you're such a gent, you should know how to wait in line.
Well, you are an impudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket.
Huh? Who are you? How do you know who I am?
The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy even to remember the faces of your victims, it seems.
What? You mean from you?
Broker? Yes, sir. I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no? Yes. The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once.
Oh my. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull?
Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel, and needless to say, any music box discs too.
No, you can't have it. You just can't. It's me old man's. Oh, it was. Now it's mine. Goodness, Mr. Naruhodo. This is a very awkward situation.
Yes. I think perhaps we should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail.
Miss Lestrade, is what the gentleman is saying? What do you think? It's all lies, isn't it? Obviously. I swear on my life, I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before.
Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now.
No, I swear it. I swear to God.
It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street, minding my own business, and this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets.
Yet again?
Oh yes. As you can see, I'm a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time that I've been targeted by these backslum scoundrels. Now then, relinquish my overcoat. Yeah. Come along now, Mr. Strahd. Give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police.
Hold on. Why does everyone think it's me? Just look at this dandy cove. You think I'm the dodgy one?
I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you.
Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence I stole something, huh? Come on, let's see it.
Oh, I have evidence, naturally.
You what? You what, mate?
Evidence that the article Miss Lestrade redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman.
Of course. We need only consult Mr. Windybank's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place.
Yes, brilliant.
I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible.
Oh.
I never ask customers' names. That's a strict policy of mine.
But why not?
Well now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity.
Yes, I see. But then how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it?
Oh, it's quite simple. Good sir, why don't I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question? Of course, it's Professor. Yes, that's right, and all the evidence we need. This gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without doubt.
A watchword? Interesting. So, about these watchwords, Mr. Windybank.
As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why. Certain customers would like to keep their activities secret.
That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it?
Great detectives have no dark secrets, none at all.
Yes, well, anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. The date deposit, the description, and a watchword uniquely identify each item. And of course, then I give the storage ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. If that someone tells you the
correct watchword, you return the article?
That's right, sir, yes. Just as soon as the requisite fee is paid.
And I have supplied you with the information you require already, but for the avoidance of doubt. The article in question is an overcoat, deposited 2 months ago on 15th February. With a watchword of Professor.
All perfectly correct information, sir.
But how?
Really, this is beyond a joke now. There's no further room for doubt. Interesting. I guess I should talk with him directly? Excuse me, but who are you? Or who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you're not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you. Oh, sorry. Yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here. Oh yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. This is such a JoJo character through and through. Its inhabitants live on some fiery brown-colored soup dressed up with exotic spices. You might be thinking of somewhere else. What was that theatrical gesticulation about? Perhaps. Anyway, if you are a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first before inquiring after the name of another. Of course, yes. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer. Well, a student of law, really. My name is Susato Mikotoba. I am Mr. Naruhodo's assistant. I see. My name is Benedict. Yes. Eggert Benedict. Ha! Enchanté. He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is suspicious. Now, to the matter at hand. My overcoat. Return it at once, to someone with the style to carry it off. Grr. Every move he makes, every breath he takes. Can't stand watching him. That is definitely a reference to the song. Oh. That looks a little odd on him. So, let that be an end to the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Eggert Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back. That's why I hate grown-ups. It's because I'm a diver. Everyone thinks that makes me a liar. The contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir. Here's the disc for you. Just the one. Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another. Another disc? Oh, oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you?
Says who, eh? I don't know nothing about it.
Very well. I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style.
Wait a minute. That disc is mine.
Ah! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal.
Oh my. Yes, there's blood on the disc. It's because of all those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them. I found it first, alright. I mean, it belonged to me old man. So you're not having it. Oh, you take it. Me? If I hang on to it, they'll have it off me again. So you keep hold of it.
Miss Lestrade, why is this so important to her? You there, in the black livery, or livery. Hand that disc to me at once, please.
No, don't. He's lying. Grown-ups are all liars.
Ugh, what do I do now? How am I gonna resolve this? Oh, really? This is weird. This is a weird new thing, and I'm scared of doing the wrong thing. I can talk to him still? Mr. Windybank is clearly at a loss here.
We have to do something about this before he reaches for that revolver of his. Quick, before he kills himself. That's absurd. Look at Mr. Windybank watching diligently over his shop. There's still so many things I'm curious about. But somehow I don't really feel like this is the right time to be browsing. Calming this fraught situation must be our first priority. I'm fairly certain that we can find just the great thing we need among the articles here in this shop. Okay, so we're supposed to tap Sholmes for this. Let's talk to her first. Wow, Mrs. Strahd is really looking daggers at the mysterious gentleman. Or at that mysterious gentleman. We need to do something to calm things down before she loses control and attacks him again. Look at those piercing eyes. He's clearly in no mood to talk. We're gonna have to do something quickly before this mysterious gentleman leaves to fetch the police or something. Don't worry, I know who's on the case. Mr. Sholmes, what are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. Wow, this is a rare angle. So, you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Crudely ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, this 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely. So desperately lonely. Then, why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again. My dear madam, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized, how much could I pawn it for? Seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration. But who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? Listen to the deduction, of course. Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blue blazes have you been, eh? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away, not an hour later. Not an hour later. Harsh. And who, pray tell, are you? Mr. Eggert Benedict, you have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon. The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbroker today is something you have not yet revealed. The second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation when you orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled egg. It would seem that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction.
Just who do you think you are, sir? Ah, yes, as I hoped. That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Alright, the game's afoot. We're doing it again. Topic 1. Mystery Man's Aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different, as revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is a staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement from this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there's some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane which you unwittingly clutch to your person exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. Ferrule, I don't know how to pronounce that. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of this stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there's only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle? Mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod is a broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. The tunnel underneath the pawnbrokery. That is super absurd. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose. Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Miss Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works, beneath this shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now. Oh wait. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway that flows in very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you? In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. A postcard of the Great Exhibition? I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway, and the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank, on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, considerable crime you've been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve funds for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is top-secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. To steal the Great Exhibition's reserve funds. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. I need to do more work distinguishing Benedict against Holmes, man. Or Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes? Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed, though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me in the strictest confidence.
But you just announced it to everyone here. Rather loudly, in fact.
Ah.
And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it?
There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly it is because a man is a criminal.
But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he's a criminal, as you said, then bearing a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret.
Did I read that okay? Then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you revealed the secret. Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windybank will. He already has plenty of shovels here after all.
Oh, my life. I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous.
Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it's out. And once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again. See if we can massage it into shape. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes's magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. Yeah, course correction. Alright. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you've entered this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here and had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor. Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. Question is, where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Oh, we can examine his hat? That silk top hat is wider than white. Only an English gentleman could hope to carry off something so bright. But it looks so incongruous with the black overcoat, don't you think? Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. How about it, Mr. Naruhodo? I think you look very fetching in a white top hat. Well, you know, I think it might look rather incongruous with my black university uniform, so... Ha ha ha. The cane. That's a proper English gentleman's cane, isn't it? Look at the beautifully polished brass on the handle. Yes, but Mr. Sholmes is right. It's not the sort of handle you usually see on a cane. Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. Perhaps you could adopt a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. It might rather suit you. I have a feeling I might argue with the sword around my waist. Yes, it argues with it. It certainly is a flyer for Mr. Windybank's shop. Let's see. Windybanks wants you. Pawnbroker's assistant required. It's an eye-catching advertisement, that's for sure. I've seen the same flyer up here inside the shop, I think. Perhaps Mr. Windybank is always in need of more staff. So Mr. Benedict came here to apply for a job? That's just too hard to believe. Nothing in the environment. Oh, hello. Scribbled writing. Oh. Look at all the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness. There's even a sketch of her hat and all. Although if we showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windybank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street, redemption deadline 15th April. Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper? Let's investigate some further. Suspicious writing on the back of a suspicious flyer in the hands of a suspicious gentleman. I didn't think there was anything suspicious about the flyer, Mr. Naruhodo. But yes, Miss Lestrade's name and height and a description of the clothes she's wearing.
Not to mention the sketch of her likeness, which I'm fairly sure she wouldn't take wait. Ryunosuke started talking. Not to mention the sketch of her likeness, which I'm fairly sure she wouldn't take lightly. And today's date, too. Redemption deadline, 15th April. We can't let this go, can we? It's far too suspicious.
I'd say yes. Let's present that.
Take that!
Take that! I love that break. I also love that golden retriever on the desk.
Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade.
Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket Miss Lestrade and to Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery here. I keep saying pawnbrokery. 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 Ugh. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Windybank's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So, you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. Humph. And you've gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there's some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak, of course, the missing ferrule. What's a ferrule?
It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo.
Ah, the bit that makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement.
Yes, exactly. And Mr. Sholmes is right. It appears to be missing on this cane.
But it doesn't actually look broken, does it?
No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious.
In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. The end of this cane is just bare wood.
Yes, and according to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, this is where the shovel blade would have been attached.
Could it just be that the tip fell off?
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I couldn't possibly speculate.
Are we going to be able to check the hat each time? Is it the same? As stylish as it no doubt is, I don't think this white top hat suits the man, do you?
No, not at all.
The more I look at it, the more something strikes me as suspicious about it.
I think perhaps it's not so much that it strikes you as suspicious, but rather that the hat is just striking.
I suppose you're probably right. Perhaps the hat isn't what we're looking for. I wonder if they make more obvious or blatant references to JoJo in the Japanese version, because there's no way this isn't a Zeppeli hat. Yeah, it's a Zeppeli thing, not a Speedwagon thing. I'm sorry. But anyway. Still nothing of note in the background. Yeah, they're not making me use the background for anything yet. At least I don't think so. I feel like I'm going to need to pinpoint that at some point. And probably the other thing... probably that as well. Initialing.
Look here, Mrs. Sato. There's some letters on the handle. Ah, yes, those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names. So, Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously... Oh. AG. Why does it feel as though that's not quite right?
Well, I'd say that we probably just want to present this then.
Take that!
Yeah. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't. You said before that you'd had that cane for years. Ugh. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your action betrays the truth. The handle which you evidently would like to conceal is the key to understanding this. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed that fine-looking overcoat, and now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Let's check the handle again. It is a rather strange handle for sure.
Yes, certainly unusual for a gentleman's cane. You expect to see such a cane being twirled charmingly by its owner as he skips merrily down the street.
You do?
Ah, something has just occurred to me. We have a shovel back in our office, don't we?
Yes, you're right. And its handle's exactly the same shape as this cane's. Here we go. Now I'm starting to wonder if it's not actually a cane at all, but a spade.
Mr. Sholmes' deductions are curiously compelling, aren't they?
Let's check the hat again. I've been looking closely at this hat for some time now, and it suddenly occurred to me that a bright white top hat like that might just be the hat for me. Or might be just the hat for me.
You like it, do you?
I think I do. Don't I?
Well, in that case, you could see if there isn't something similar among Mr. Windybank's forfeited items. After we've concluded our investigation, we must focus on the task in hand at the moment.
So there's the hat. Nothing else in the background is coming up as highlightable. There's the handle. What else can I highlight anything? Nothing in the environment is coming up as highlightable. Does that mean that I'm just supposed to highlight his hat? Those are literally the only two things I can... Okay. Oh, the D-pad works. Oh, wait a minute. What is this? Oh, the seam on the shoulder there is coming apart. Look. Or, wait, nope. That was Hisatu who said it. So it is. Do you know, a moment ago Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said. I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl. But now I think it was probably the sound of his seam ripping open. If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If he were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart. That I'd like to see. Sorry? So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around? She's really giving this some thought. There we go.
Take that!
The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Ah. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so baldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Ah! This catalogue of untruth has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windybank. Ah! But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. Alright, so now the intent was to abscond with a redeemed item. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed as a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of pawnage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details? N'est-ce pas? Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you're only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of tunneling under the sewers, or into the sewers. Which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windybank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or, looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Windybank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Baker Street Works is the title. Yes, and it does mention sewerage works, as Mr. Sholmes has said. Oh,
and specifically mentions that tonight's sale at the confectionery shop in the corner won't be affected. Case solving first, confectionery later, Mr. Naruhodo. Curse my overly expressive face. Old lamp. This looks to be quite an old lamp, but it's obviously been well looked after, and there's oil in it too. In other words, it's still in use. Yes, it would appear so. But as for how it could be related to Mr. Benedict knowing the watchword for the pond article, I have no idea. That makes two of us. Then don't make it a node that I can look at. There's so much unnecessary stuff that I look at just because you let me do it. Council notice, the revolver, the notelet, and the ledger is not part of it. Wow. They so badly wanted to keep the ledger out of this that they don't even let it, they don't even let you look at it. Did I already check out the notelet? Look at this, Mrs. Sato. Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Windybank has scribbled to himself. Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Windybank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. And in an alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear. I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see. Alright. Let's investigate the revolver just in case. This is Mr. Windybank's gun. Yes, loaded with only one bullet, he said. It would appear that being a pawnbroker is a very life or death profession. Or profession. That might just be this particular establishment. Alright.
Take that!
Notelet. The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter into which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on the notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you are present in this shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Windybank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was a master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which according to Mr. Windybank isn't even worth a penny. And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo. Do we? Could we? Really?
I better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. I mean, we just have this. Oh, hello. What is this? For McGilded.
Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc, look. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name. For Mr. McGilded.
McGilded?
It couldn't be. But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this?
Alrighty. And then there's the blood. Let's investigate the blood. Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny.
Yes.
Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood. Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Eggert Benedict. When Miss Lestrade tried to grab the disc from him, the pin scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger. Ouch, just thinking about it hurts. It puts me off eating radish. Okay. Wait, review scene. Oh. Return to question. I would assume it's this disc.
Take that!
You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back? It reads, for Mr. McGilded. Ah. Ah, Mr. Magnus McGilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, through loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. Jeez. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. I just want to try this one more time. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. Boy. Ugh. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today... I love these scenes. Was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. No. To acquire an item deposited by Mr. McGilded. Solved. Elementary, dudes. Woo. Well, well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances.
Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind.
Pray tell, Mrs. Sato.
Well, according to what Mr. Windybank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited.
Well, today is 15th April, so 2 months ago today...
would have been 15th February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited it at 10:30 p.m., I see.
What? But that suggests... Yes, 15th February. Is precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding.
Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However...
What?
I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box.
What do I do?
What if I try to be a cool guy? There's some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not.
Hold it.
Mr. Windybank.
This is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life.
Mr. Windybank, no. Alright, that's enough, says...
Alright, that's enough.
Inspector Gregson. Inspector?
That's right, sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So we got here as fast as we could. Now that's all it's about, eh? Oh, praise be. You're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life in my very own establishment.
Still pointing the gun. It would seem you have the upper hand.
Right, you lot have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy.
Petty? Mr. Windybank very nearly met with his end.
Yeah, by his own gun, as far as I can tell. Oh dear. No, old Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on.
What? What on earth is the case, Inspector?
Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter. It's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station.
But of course, Inspector.
Ah! He's getting away! Get after him, lads! Whistle the beat officer, too!
Sir!
There's been a spate deaths at pawn shops around here recently. So I fit emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently Mourning.
Oh, yes.
I'll be taking out whatever it is of McGildy's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over.
Oh, yes, of course.
No, don't! Don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine.
Sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGildy has to be taken in as evidence now.
As evidence? The police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow. We have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. And so we handed Mr. McGilded's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and we're summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. Oh, that's all you get for the chapter break? That's an interesting beginning. And we've yet to see anyone dead. This is more like a reckoning of unresolved loose ends from the previous cases, which is fine. I'm cool with that. I'm eager to settle all of the mysteries that are left over. Although that guy is such a JoJo. Holy shit. What a JoJo that guy is. Anyway, thank you everyone, as always, for checking out this LP and following along with me. Well, as I usually say, I'm trying to get through this game as quickly as possible, so I'm going to, again, attempt to try to find some opportunity to stream at some point during the week, during a weekday. Perhaps as soon as tomorrow, depends on how much energy I have, and etc. But if nothing else, I'll probably end up seeing you guys again on Friday, maybe? Yeah. Hopefully before then. And hopefully there won't be too many chapters to this case. So, well, there could be as many as there need to be, as long as it's compelling. I'll admit that this chapter here is a bit of a slow start at first. So, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I guess that's it for today. I'm actually feeling pretty tired. You heard me yawning all stream, so I am out of here. Have a good night, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.